Hello and welcome. You're watching The Buck Stops Here and I'm Barkha Dutt. The big story on the program tonight is the NDTV exclusive that you've seen on this channel already to bring our viewers up to speed. Robert Vadra, controversial businessman, but also the son-in-law of the Congress President Sonia Gandhi, finds himself at the center of yet another controversy, one that could open another front for political battle between the BJP and the Congress. This time, it's over a house in London. NDTV has exclusively accessed two internal inquiry reports that have already been forwarded to the Finance Ministry. These have been prepared by enforcement agencies and income tax officials after raids on an arms dealer called Sanjay Bhandari. Mr. Bhandari was raided on 18 different premises last month. Investigators have told NDTV that from these raids was recovered data and a treasure chest of emails. These emails, investigators say, and have put in writing in the inquiry reports that we've seen, link Sanjay Bhandari to Robert Vadra through a London property. The allegation in the probe report and what the investigators are now looking to prove on a working hypothesis is that the house in London, and we have the address right here, it's 12 Ellerton House, Bryanston Square, was bought for 19 lakh British pounds in 2009, in October 2009, and then sold in June 2010. The probe report says that the emails indicate that Sanjay Bhandari was a front for a benami property that was in fact owned and controlled by Robert Vadra. Investigators also say that when they put this question to Sanjay Bhandari directly, he did not deny it. Instead, he asked to be able to refer to his lawyers and his sales deed in London. Now, my colleagues Sudhir Ranjan Sen and Tanima Biswas are the ones who have brought this story to us. They've been working on it all of last week. And I would like to say here that we actually first contacted Mr. Vadra 5 days ago. And for 5 days, we got absolutely no response from either him or his executive assistant. Today, minutes before the story was to broadcast, we received a notice, we received a statement from his lawyers. They denied the allegations flatly. They said that Robert Vadra had no business dealings with Sanjay Bhandari. They said Robert Vadra did not even know that Sanjay Bhandari was in the defense business. And as for the emails that have in fact pinned this entire controversy onto Mr. Vadra, they said they haven't seen the emails, so they can't comment on them. In fact, Sudhi, we have specific emails, we have dates, we have seen the emails ourselves, and there is this one particular email, and it is dated 4/4/10, that's 4th of April 2010, where this exchange takes place between Mr. Vadra and Mr. Sumit Chadha, an associate and relative of Mr. Bhandari. Can you take us through that email and why that email got the attention of investigators?
Well, yes, I mean, it's a very interesting email because there's this property that has been bought by Mr. Sanjay Bhandari, and all of a sudden what these emails show is not only Mr. Vadra but also his executive assistant are talking about the renovation of this place, are talking about how to redo this place. And finally on an email from Mr. Sumit Chadha, who is also Mr. Bhandari's associate, saying that, you know, while I've been doing the renovation work, there doesn't seem to be any money that I have received. Mr. Vadra, we understand, writes back saying that you know, he's surprised and he's going to arrange the money as soon as possible, and also subsequently asks Mr. Chadha to be in touch with his executive assistant. Now this is leading the officials, the government perhaps, to you know, more or less conclude that why would somebody be interested in A, the renovation, and B, talking about this money transaction. So that is where this entire thing comes up. Barkha.
And Sudhi, in fact, I have the email in front of me. Let me just read it out. That when Sumit Chadha, according to the probe report, this is in the probe report. This is what the government's own internal inquiry is saying, and we're quoting from that document. This says that when Sumit Chadha mails Vadra for reimbursement of expenses, Mr. Vadra mails back, I will look into the issue, and asks his secretary Manoj to be in touch. The probe report then says, Sudhi, that Mr. Vadra's secretary Manoj subsequently kept in touch with Mr. Chadha using Exim Real Estate as the email ID. So what we're talking about here are very, very specific details, including what happens when this house is suddenly sold. Because actually, if you look at how long it's kept in ownership, it's only a few months.
Well, yes, I mean, and that is the center of the entire investigation right now, as to why was it bought, why was it sold off so early, and how much was it sold off to. The house, as we have seen from open source information that we have got, it's more or less in the center of London, and it's a very, very costly property that way. Barkha.
Tanima, you have been trying to get a response from Sanjay Bhandari. We at least do now have a response from Mr. Vadra's lawyers. Like we said, they have denied the allegations. They are not, however, commenting on the specifics of the email, saying we've not seen these emails, so we can't comment. We have subsequently copied and pasted this particular email and sent it back to Mr. Vadra's lawyers, and we await that response. Tanima, you have been trying to get a response out of Sanjay Bhandari. You met with Mr. Bhandari's PR firm, his representatives on Saturday. You have sent them a detailed questionnaire. There is absolutely no response from him. We need to explain to our viewers who Bhandari is and why he's caught the investigators' eyes. So tell us that first. 18 premises of his raided, and now these links between him and Mr. Vadra being investigated.
Right, Barkha, I'm coming to you from in front of one of the addresses that had been raided by the income tax. This is one of the offices of Sanjay Bhandari located in South Delhi. We have been, as you were mentioning, trying to get in touch with Mr. Bhandari or his associates for the past many days now. I even met some people from the PR firm which is handling the media on behalf of Mr. Bhandari's office. They also met us, took some questions from us. We mailed them on record questions over the past couple of days, but there's been no response so far from them regarding some of our queries related to this story. Also, as you were mentioning, Mr. Sanjay Bhandari basically came under the radar of the investigative agencies in the country because of the fact that now his offices, his ventures have turned into a multi-crore venture. He started in 2008 with a 1 lakh sum of capital, pay-up capital, which went into starting his first company, his business. But from then on to now, he has rapidly made a lot of progress in terms of actually cracking some crucial defense deals. In fact, that's also something which is in the purview of the investigative agencies. They're trying to figure out whether or not one of these deals is also in some way or the other connected to the money which went into purchasing this London property. So that's something both the Enforcement Directorate as well as the Income Tax Department is looking at. But Mr. Sanjay Bhandari, who we have been trying to get in touch with through his PR firm, through some of his associates, has in fact completely kept quiet on the queries which have been sent by us. What we are given to understand by some of his confidants is that since it's an ongoing investigation, he doesn't want to comment at the moment, but he has not categorically denied any of the queries which we have sent to him. Barkha.
All right, so since you do follow the defense beat, just very quickly, who is Sanjay Bhandari? There could be people who turn on television tonight and say, you know, and right now defense deals are in any case under such a cloud that they'll wonder, you know, has defense dealer become some sort of code automatically for someone who's dubious? The fact of the matter is that in this particular case, this gentleman was blacklisted by the Intelligence Bureau. This I know from the Defense Ministry itself. He was on a list of agents whom the minister was asked to keep a distance from. So he's that controversial. Why is he that controversial?
Well, I mean, he's that controversial. I mean, it's absolutely right, because in 2014, he was, what we understand from our sources, that he was in the UCN, that is unwanted contact list, contact people. But more so because, you know, there has been a phenomenal rise that his company has made, started in 2008. And you know, while there are no, you know, there is no clarity or there is no direct charge against him, the suspicion is that, you know, in the deals that have happened previously, and the Defense Ministry believes that it has a lot against him in various deals that have happened, and also the way his company has grown and the manner in which he has tried.
That's the main point. In fact, it starts with a paid-up capital of 1 lakh rupees in 2008. It's now a multi-crore venture, and he's in fact being investigated for shell companies.
Absolutely, and that is where exactly, from what I understand from my sources, the first alarm bells went up. In fact, the investigation from where the entire reference came up, yes, within the enforcement agencies, is a completely different investigation, and that investigation is the investigation of political donations and routing of funds, where they found Mr. Bhandari's companies have also been routing or laundering, so to say, funds, bringing them through shell companies, either out of the system or into the system.
All right, so these stay with us. Let's open this up for debate. Is this now going to be the latest political front opening in battle between the BJP and the Congress? Remember, these are two separate preliminary investigative reports, but they have been forwarded to the Finance Ministry, and therefore what we are bringing to you today is excerpts from these probe reports. On our panel today, Randeep Surjewala, who is of course a very senior leader of the Congress party. We are also joined by Sanjay Bhandari, leader of the BJP. Ashutosh, leader of the Aam Aadmi party, is with us. With me in studio is Sanjay Hegde, who is of course a well-known lawyer and advocate. Also Shekhar Gupta, editor and journalist and commentator, as well as Kumar Ketkar, a senior journalist, editor and commentator. Let me start with you, Randeep. I think you must have the first right of response. I think the first thing to get a fix on is, do we take your presence here to then be an acknowledgement that Mr. Vadra is no longer seen as a private citizen? He is seen as somebody who has become a kind of issue of political battle between the BJP and the Congress. In fact, one of your party members, Shehzad Punewala, today had quite a funny line, and he said, BJP ke paas pehle Ram hota tha, ab Robert hai. Is this now an acknowledgement that Robert is mainstreamed as a political issue between the Congress and the BJP? So you will come out to bat for him every time. He's no longer the private citizen that the party would not take a position on.
Well, Barkha, the simple issue is NDTV is playing a story where they are trying to attribute a link to the Congress president and to say that there was undue favor.
Congress president has not even been mentioned in
I
this.
think if you check the NDTV online story that you filed,
it merely describes Mr. Vadra as the son-in-law of the Congress president, which is a fact.
I will come to that. So, the first line mentions the name of the Congress president. That apart, I spoke to Mr. Vadra's lawyer and I took a copy of the notice or reply that they sent.
It's a legal notice to us. It actually warned of legal recourse if we proceeded with the story.
Very well. I am not going to delve into that debate at all. It's not my domain.
Okay.
There are three things very clear.
Yeah.
Mr. Robert Vadra says he does not directly or indirectly, as which has been suggested on your program, own the property in question.
Yes.
Secondly, he says he has no financial or business dealing with the gentleman in question, Mr. Bhandari, whom you just named.
Yes.
And thirdly, he has categorically said that he has nothing to do with any defense contracts, nor has he ever been interested in one, nor he has any knowledge that one of the part of Mr. Bhandari's business has been defense contracts. These three things being very clear, unequivocal. I can today turn around and say, and I am only being hypothetical, that the entire money that runs the great NDTV or another news channel comes from money laundered amount, and that will be preposterous. It will be totally wrong and false.
Mr. Surjewala, it's again hypothetically, if you were a journalist and there was in fact sort of a finance ministry investigation into NDTV or CNN, IBN or India Today, any number of newspapers would write about it, as they have even about us, and we have, when confronted with those questions, taken them head on and responded to them. So the fact of the matter is that here, as journalists, we take no sides on the veracity of what these charges will eventually be proven or not proven to be. But we certainly have the right, the journalistic right, to report that there is a new government probe into a controversy that involves Mr. Vadra, just as we had reported the land deals. Where they eventually end up is between the BJP and the Congress. Our job is something else.
I would totally respect that. Why not? My question is very simple. If Mr. Arun Jaitley, instead of leaking out these reports through the agencies of various medias and newspapers and not
Why
you
would you
alone,
name one person as
because
the source of the report? This could be anybody.
Minister.
The government is a massive body.
He is the finance minister in charge, and we all understand these things. Had he simply, or his agency simply, or Mr. Modi's agency simply issued a notice to the gentleman concerned, asked him that here is an allegation, what do you have to say? By all means, the gentleman concerned would have a chance to defend himself, to quash everything like he has come forward and said to you. That's one appropriate, correct, legal and constitutional methodology to do so. Other is to have, and I put it to you, Barkha, you are such a seasoned journalist, does the whole thing not look like a modulated plan to you?
Randeep, I will object to the use of the word plant, because a plant is something that is placed in your lap on which no due diligence is done. A journalist can get a lead from any source in government.
Fair enough.
And it may suit you politically to name the minister. A journalist will never reveal her source. However, after that, the journalist's job becomes to corroborate, to get more than 2 sources, to see the documents themselves, which our team of reporters has done. You can make a political point by saying, where's the notice? But that doesn't mean that you're entitled to shoot the messenger, because the messenger has seen this government probe and is reporting on the fact that there is another government probe. You raised the point about the notice. Let me get Sudhi in. Sudhi, the point here is that there are actually 2 sets of agencies now that are looking at this case. It started with being an income tax case. It is now also being looked at by the Enforcement Directorate. If it's about where we source this from, I still remember a time when Mr. Chidambaram asked me where I got the Liberhand report from. So this goes on in the lives of journalists. Shekhar knows this story as well. That's not relevant. Where we got it from, who gave it to us is not relevant. The fact of it, the fact that there's a probe is relevant. So on the notice, what are your sources saying? Because you were hearing that Mr. Vadra's assistant, whom the report says does the bulk of the emailing, could get a notice soon.
Well, that is the impression that we have got, that once the questioning is done of Mr. Sanjay Bhandari, that is the next step that the government is going to follow. And what I've been told is the government is quite serious about taking this to the logical conclusion. Barkha.
Let me bring in political response.
Barkha, can I just ask one more thing now that Sudhi is here?
Yes.
Where is that IT report? Nobody has had a look at it so far. I'm just putting
had a look at it.
I'm just putting it in reasonable domain for your viewers and for your good self. Where is that
report? Are you
report?
suggesting we've made up this entire report?
I'm not saying. I'm saying where is that report and where are those emails? For example, if I may say, Sudhi is here. I was reading, Sudhi has written a blog where he says everybody is hounding the National Security Advisor, Mr. Doval. Does that make Sudhi a sympathizer of Mr. Doval? No. It's his opinion, but everything has to be founded upon solid evidence. Where is that report? Where are those emails? What are they saying? The gentleman in question says it's not his property. He has no financial dealings.
Well, by the way, I will say again and again, Randeep, that he took 5 days to actually say this, and we called literally every day for the last 5 days, and we got absolute silence only when they realized that we were actually going to air the story after having seen the reports ourselves. But I will allow Sudhi a quick response, and I do have to open it up for the panel. Sudhi, you have seen these reports. There are 2 different reports. You have read them. You have seen them. You have taken down the emails verbatim. You have a date and a month and a year for the email. So unless Randeep is suggesting that the government of India has fabricated these emails, we have seen these emails.
Definitely. Those reports are all over the government right now because it's moving at a very fast pace. That's the understanding that we get. Barkha.
All right, let me bring in now Sambit Patra and the rest of our panel. Sambit Patra and Ashutosh, first political responses. Of course, this is an ongoing investigation. It is not a conclusive sort of document here. But the fact of the matter is that it seems the latest round in political battle between the government and Robert Vadra. My question to you, Sambit, would be that is the Congress fair in saying that it is much easier for the BJP to create a perennial cloud of suspicion around Robert Vadra, around the Gandhis, than to reach any logical conclusion, because it's politically much more beneficial to keep the cloud of suspicion, because that's exactly what happened in the land deals as well. Everybody in the BJP went so big on the land deals, but we haven't actually seen any sort of logical conclusion to that investigation. So will this go the same way?
No, Barkha, as far as the word suspicion is concerned, I would borrow from the famous saying that Caesar's wife should be above suspicion. If you are the Caesar, if you are the family, if you are the ruler for all these years for this great country, then naturally you should be above suspicion. What's the problem in it? We all have to be in public life. We all have to be above suspicion. And if some allegations are thrown upon us, it's our duty to come out in the open and challenge those allegations if we are right. So if we have some kind of report, look, Barkha, I am not privy to the report. You may be having a report. But if we are having a hypothetical discussion, at least 2 people know the truth. Mr. Sanjay Bhandari and Mr. Robert Vadra. Mr. Surjewala, who is an erudite speaker, he may be saying that, well, these may be fabricated emails, these reports may not be existing. But 2 people at least know the truth.
My question was a bit different. My question is not whether we stand by our story. We stand by our story. We are reporting on an ongoing government probe. This is what the probe report says.
I'll come to that as well.
My question was whether nothing happened with the land deals. Nothing really happened. The BJP, after all that sound and fury, did absolutely nothing. So does it suit you more to just keep noise around the issue?
No, not at all, Barkha. I mean, remember, in the National Herald, just give you an example. In the National Herald case, initially when the allegations were made on the Gandhis, the similar sentences were heard from the spokespersons of Congress. These are nothing but noise. If you have anything, why don't you go and challenge this in the court? People went to the court, and when the court indicted the Gandhis, calling them accused number 1 and accused number 2, remember Sonia ji was accused number 1 and Rahul ji was accused number 2, then the very next day the parliament was told, saying that this is revenge politics, this is vendetta politics.
Yes.
And be assured the day would not be far when in fact Mr. Vadra's misdeeds would be caught in the sense investigations are on. We all know in Haryana there is a single judge committee which is looking
Commission.
into
But
all
that
this.
never questioned
Probably
Mr. Vadra.
in a month or two the report would...
That commission never questioned
See,
Mr.
I would not be... I would not be questioning the way the committee functions, because I am no one as a politician to question the judges.
I actually was
But let the
raising a
judge
political
complete his
point.
work.
That is this
Thereafter-
politically a strategy to just, is noise more beneficial to the BJP than conclusion? But let me just get Ashutosh on the same point. Ashutosh, how do you see this? Because, it's all got so muddied in the battle between the BJP and the Congress, where obviously whether it's Augusta, National Herald or now this, and before that the land deals, this is very much coming across now as government versus Gandhis. But the fact of the matter is that Mr. Vadra himself has had a number of contentious deals, and therefore it's legitimate politics as well as perhaps a legitimate investigation.
See, Barka, I think this is a big farce which has been played on the the people of India. This is a ping pong which is happening between the BJP and the Congress. And why I am saying so? For the simple reason, because if you remember, on 27th April 2014,
Yes.
what Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad has said during the election campaign, and I quote,
Yes.
there is a gross violation of law relating to the land and environment, and this was done in the context of Robert Vadra, and it was called Robert Vadra's model of development.
Yes.
And then it was said by Ravi Shankar Prasad, is a very senior politician, the textbook case of corruption and crony capitalism under state patronage.
Yes.
Now it is more than 2 years. Modi government has been there. What has happened against Robert Vadra? Has any action been taken? Rather, Mr. Digvijay Singh is challenging BJP on 22nd November 2015, that is
Yes.
after 1.5 years, that if Robert Vadra has done anything wrong, please take action against him.
Okay.
And again, you remember what happened in the Augusta Westland case. The Congress party has said, you take action against us within 2 months.
So what is your allegation that
Now
the BJP and
fact
the Congress
is,
have a deal?
if Ravi Shankar
What
Prasad
is
is
your
saying that the
allegation?
gross violation is happening.
Ashutosh, what is your allegation? When you say it's a farce, are you saying the BJP
No,
and the
let me
Congress are
complete.
only
Let me
playing a
complete,
part
Barkha.
here?
Let me complete.
Yeah.
I am saying, if Ravi Shankar Prasad has been saying there has been gross violation of law, then in the last 2 years, why the Modi government has been keeping quiet? Why Robert Vadra is not behind the bar? Why Sonia Gandhi and Ahmed Patel is not behind the bar in Augusta Westland case?
Because
It's
there
very
has to be a
simple.
legal
Because
process.
if there is a Robert Vadra,
Because there has to be a legal process. You can't just jail
Singh in
people like that.
Rajasthan.
There has to be legal
You know
process.
why? It's a similar case. It's a similar case. If in the DLF, the Robert Vadra was the beneficiary, in the Lalit Modi case, Niyant Heritage, the 21 crore was given to the Dushyant Singh. So the fact is, if there is a Robert Vadra, there is a Dushyant Singh. If action has to be taken against Robert Vadra, the action should also have been taken against Dushyant Singh.
So let me get Sambit to respond to that, and then Randeep. Okay, Sambit, I think it's a fair point that for people who've been watching this, they see this as an electoral issue. It comes with the elections, it goes with the elections, and nothing happens. So there's a kind of mainstreaming of Robert Vadra as another ping pong, as Ashutosh calls it, between the BJP and the Congress. And then what? If he is actually guilty, then there's a sense that there'll be no punishment. And if he is innocent, then that's not fair to him either. So either way, there is no resolution.
Barkha, with all due respect, I would just remind the Aam Aadmi Party of the 375 pages of evidences that they had against Mrs. Sheila Dikshit and none other than an equally senior member as Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad. Mr. Arvind K. Please don't do this laughing business, sir. Barkha, please ask your guest to stop this laughing business. We are in a serious program.
Okay.
You can't stop me from laughing.
This crying and
Don't let
laughing.
me look so funny,
Come on, now,
Samit
let's be
Patra.
grown up
I was
about
not-
this. Let him laugh.
Don't be so touchy.
Don't be a grown-up boy.
Don't be so funny.
Sambit, come on.
Ashutosh, please be a grown-up boy, please.
Don't be so
Allow me
touchy,
to speak.
Sambit.
I was not interjecting.
Sambit.
Answer the
Barkha,
question
will you
I
please
raised.
request your guest?
I said that
Will
if
you
there is a
please
Robert
request the
Vadra,
boy
there
to
is
be
Dushyant
a
Singh.
grown-up man?
If action has to be taken against
What
Robert
are we
Vadra,
discussing?
Please
Why
request
are
the
you
boy to be a
discussing
grown-up
Dushyant
man
Singh?
and then I'll
you
start
will not
replying.
take action against Robert Vadra.
Very TRP friendly.
This is very TRP friendly indeed, but since we try and go beyond being TRP friendly and being substantive
Let
as
me
well,
please complete.
Sambit, make your point. Make your point.
Yes. Barkha, it's a known fact that only about few months ago, when Mr. Kapil Mishra was made the law minister, he wrote a letter the very next day to Arvind Kejriwal saying that he has proof that Mrs. Sheila Dikshit, when she was the Chief Minister of Delhi, had pumped in 4,000 crore
I should
rupees
answer
to the
that
Congress
question.
headquarters, diverting
I
it
would
from
love
the...
to answer that
What
question.
is this? What is this, Ashutosh? When you are being caught, you are not allowing others to speak?
Ashutosh,
What
let
is
him make
this?
his point, and we
Now,
have to go to the others, so please
what
hurry up.
happened? What happened to that 400 crore rupees? How much has gone to Mr. Kejriwal's kitty is the question that Mr. Ashutosh should be answering, rather than foolishly laughing over here. Please don't be a clown, Mr. Ashutosh. Be a grown-up
Don't make
spokesperson.
yourself a caricature, Samit. Don't make yourself a caricature.
Okay, you know what?
Well, I'm done.
This show, no,
Barkha, I'm done.
No, don't be. Samit, relax. Come on now, Samit, relax. Ashutosh, I think it's.
No, I'm relaxing. I'm done with Ashutosh.
Acha,
Continue with other guests. I'm there to answer your questions.
Let's come back to Ashutosh later. Otherwise, this will become a BJP versus AAP battle, and Ashutosh not stopping to laugh. So that's annoying. Samit, let's come back to what we are discussing. Randeep, the fact.
No, I'm never annoyed. It's only exposing Ashutosh.
Okay.
He laughs and cries. The whole world knows. We have seen him crying as well.
Randeep, you know that politics
You
is
can't
about.
stop me from
Okay,
laughing,
Ashutosh,
Samit.
please now. Please.
Please be serious.
I have to
yaar.
move on. I'll come back to you. Politics is about perception. There is a confusion in the Congress over how to deal with Robert Vadra. And the confusion is this. You can't quite decide whether he's now a public/political figure or not. And the reason I say this is he's on record in an interview to me some years ago, in an interview to ANI recently, talking about how he'd be quite happy to join politics. He is now, in a sense, he was even on a poster at one of the Congress rallies in Delhi, if you remember that, right? It was, I think, an anti-government rally, and there was Robert Vadra there on the posters. So does the Congress now finally accept that Robert Vadra is now a Neta?
The answer is rather simple. Who wants to be in politics and when that individual would join politics is a call that each individual must take. But I just want to answer another issue that both my colleagues were raising, bereft of the delinquency that we were witnessing.
Yes.
All that I want to point out, the simple issue is that here is a person who is being systematically persecuted and hounded
You see him
by
as a victim.
political opponents of the Congress party, not for last 2 years, but perhaps for last 5 to 6 years.
How can
Here
a
is a
victim have
person
made windfall gains from land
Can
deals
I-
that are considered sweetheart
Yeah,
deals?
can
Even
I-
if they don't technically break a law, they are sweetheart deals.
Can I just place?
Yes.
There are investigations that are currently on which are sub judice.
Yes, the Justice
Whether
Dhingra
it is
Commission.
Justice Dhingra Commission or whether that is another inquiry in Rajasthan.
Yeah.
The truth remains that Bharatiya Janata Party or an Aam Aadmi Party, with due regards to my colleagues here, they take out Mr. Vadra's name only to hit out at Congress party from time to time. And as you rightfully and justifiably pointed out, think about a person being persecuted time and end, day after day, months after months, years after years, without there being any iota of evidence to either implicate or to indict the person. My only humble submission is one. Mr. Vadra has denied that he is owner of the flat, either directly or indirectly. He says he has had no financial or business dealings.
Yes.
Rest is for investigating agencies to investigate and either to say Mr. Vadra is right or to say
So
Mr.
you're
Vadra is
questioning
wrong.
why does it always remain in the middle space?
Yeah, or to say Mr.
Okay,
Vadra is wrong.
Let's
That's the simple
let's
thing.
open this up. Let's open this up. Shekhar, Robert Vadra has now become a political figure. Whether or not he's a politician, attached to him are the reputations of the Congress's first family, which is why you have Randeep, whom it's so difficult to get to take part on television every night, sitting here, someone as senior as him. How do you see the politics around this? The fact that there is a probe on is indisputable. Where that probe leads, I don't know. Maybe the probe will find nothing. Maybe the probe will find something. The probe is on.
See, what I don't understand is, what cases are these? These are not some secret inquiries into espionage or something. These are straightforward tax, money laundering, bribery, unaccounted for wealth, undisclosed wealth inquiries, where a money trail has to be available. Right? If somebody bought a flat in London, London is not merely that you can pay everything in cash and buy a flat. Maybe you can give somebody 5% or 10%, although I don't even know that can happen. So somebody has bought that flat, Enforcement Directorate, Income Tax Department. Now there is sufficient coordination between tax authorities of
different wings of it, yes.
In India and Britain, in fact, there is an Indian customs officer who sits at Heathrow and it keeps account of how much VAT refund passengers coming back claim, and anybody claiming £1,000, £2,000, then has the customs people catch him or her. As we've seen in both cases, him and her have both been captured.
So what is your?
My point is that if that is the case,
But that's the same point you made in Augusta. You said it would take 1 week to figure out who took the money.
Exactly, but it seems to me, first of all, that nobody, I can't believe that system is so incompetent that they cannot find the money. Augusta is now more or less being forgotten. Nobody is even saying how much money was given to whom. We know that Mr. Mitchell got some money. He's made some statements to you, Mr. Mitchell.
Christian Mitchell.
Christian Mitchell, not Mitchell. But we don't know where that money has gone. In today's time and age, post 9/11,
So are you saying there's a deliberate obfuscation by agencies to not actually reveal where this money goes,
frankly,
where the money trail ends?
I think, lawyers will tell you more, but I think what's happening is that there is there is a deliberate mixing of what is criminal and what is civil. What is tax, what is maybe tax evasion, what is bribery money. So the idea is, politically, the best thing is to just throw as much mud up in the air, and everybody has done it. The Congress party did it freely for 10 years. See on Gujarat cases. They got so desperate, they dragged in a very senior officer of the Intelligence Bureau, which had never been done in India's
Rajendra
history.
Kumar, you're talking about.
Rajendra Kumar, right? So our politics is so broken now. 10 years was enough time for them to establish whether it was a fake encounter
or
or
Malegaon
not.
or many such cases.
Anything.
Yeah, Sanjay,
but there's more value in keeping it going.
So that's the point I was making, that the fact is that there are two parts to the story that seem to me to both be true. One is that with one controversy after the other, Mr. Vadra has become, whether Randeep agrees with me or not, a political hot potato for the party. That I think the BJP has, in a sense, successfully showcased or mainlined that issue, raising many different questions. The second is that perhaps it does suit the BJP, and maybe that's legitimate politics, to keep this alive rather than concluded, which is what Ashutosh is saying.
Exactly. You see the famous saying, much suspected of me, nothing proven can be. That's what Elizabeth the Great once said.
Yes.
So it's the same thing. You throw mud, hope something sticks. If not, the fellow has a dirty face. That itself is politics. But my question is simply this: as a country, are we serious about prosecuting any crime where big people are involved? Do you even bring about a credible investigation which will stand up in court? Today what has happened with our fractured polity is that you often tend to think that the investigating agency belongs to the government in power. There is no continuity. You spoke about Malegaon, you spoke about all the other stories. Ishrat. Where
there is no continuity.
Where the story takes
there is no continuity,
along with the government.
I would say both parties have played politics. I would say both parties have played politics. And
so then comes the question. Then comes the question: should the court get in even at the investigation stage?
But with Mr. Vadra's land deals, let's not talk about as if nothing more has happened. There is a judicial commission sitting. There is a Justice Dhingra commission. And there is reasonable evidentiary
of inquiry.
But there is reasonably evidentiary value that there was at least a windfall profit from a sweetheart deal. Now you can argue whether that's criminal, what the judge will conclude. But in the eyes of the public, that's a sweetheart deal. Because of being married into an influential family.
Moment,
yes,
a commission of inquiry is something which can't send anybody to jail, but is enough to ruin any politician. That's all that happens. A commission of inquiry is a fact-finding body. It cannot substitute itself for an investigation.
Sambit, the BJP had this sort of political lexicon which used to say damad ji, taunt the Congress. For you, Robert Vadra is a mainstream political issue. But there is a suspicion on this panel that you don't want to do more than rhetoricize it. You want to keep it in rhetoric.
The Delhi consensus has advanced only one step.
Let him respond. Sambit and then Kumar Ketkar. Sambit, go ahead.
Sanjay, Barkha, for us, Robert Vadra is not the issue. For us, corruption is the issue. I mean, when you said, Barkha, that it is government versus Gandhis, I absolutely disagreed. Let me correct you by saying it's government versus corruption.
Obviously, the probe
if the Gandhis were corrupt, just Barkha, please allow me to complete. Barkha, allow me a few sentences at least. I mean, if the Gandhis were corrupt, the Gandhis will have to face the tune. And Barkha, I'm reminding you, 18 number of times, the same questions were thrown to us. In the National Herald case, and don't forget that both the mother and the son duo are out on bail today. It's not a small thing.
National
And secondly,
Herald
I'll
was a
just give you an
complaint
example.
case.
Sanjay was saying that
No,
please,
not-
sir, let me complete. I was not interjecting when you were speaking. Let me complete. I mean, Sanjay was saying that, well, this is a political system where you throw mud. If the mud doesn't stick, at least the face gets dirty. I would say, no, Sanjay, such is the legal procedure over here in the country. You are a known lawyer. Tell me, in fodder scam, years after years passed, Lalu was making merry, but one sudden day, Lalu had to, in fact, meet his sins eye to eye. Lalu had to face the consequences.
Yeah.
So I would not comment on the judicial system of the country. I would
Okay.
not comment on the time
I think that's
the
a fair
judicial
point.
system
That
of
just
the
because
country
it takes
takes.
long doesn't
But
mean
the
that's
gov-
true.
but
the
gov-
judicial system takes a long time.
Can I just get
but,
Kumar? Can I get Kumar? Kumar, he's been waiting. Can I get
but,
Kumar? Kumar?
but you use the process to tarnish someone. At the end of it, you're never
Kumar.
certain
No,
of the
how-
conviction.
Sanjay, tell me Sanjay, do you mean to say that in National Herald case we tried to tarnish Sonia Gandhi and
The
Rahul
whole
Gandhi and
problem
the
is
judges were in
that,
favor of the
that
Bharatiya
he
Janata
does
Party?
not understand the distinction between a complaint case and between a case where FIR has been lodged by the government. Does he even understand, with due regards to him, the fact that in National Herald there was a private complaint filed by Subramaniam Swamy,
Who was not a member of the BJP then.
and which is the one that is now currently under investigation. No charge sheet has been framed. My learned friend has
But the
been
court
using
did
the word
accept a
indicted.
but the court did say, if I remember, about did acknowledge a prima facie
That's for issuing
case.
summons.
That's
For issuing
what he
summons.
and
that there
then
was
there
enough
are-
basis to the complaint to issuing
No, but
summons.
that's
The
only
court
for
had
issuing
said
of
enough.
summons.
Court
That's
had
not
even
for
spoken
charge
about the
sheet.
criminal
Kumar,
conspiracy.
The
Kumar.
matter has never even gone to charge sheet, and he is saying indicted.
Okay, fair
What
enough.
how
fair enough.
nonsensical can that
indicted
be?
is perhaps not the correct word, but there is an ongoing court case. Kumar Ketkar, it's the politics of this that will get all the attention. Where the probe goes, how long it takes, could become something like the land deals. You know, it could take a process of years. Though Shekhar makes the point that it should not take that long. It should be a pretty swift, open and
The point I make is, first of all, as a journalist, I'm very happy if there are leaks.
Yeah, of course. Why should we be apologetic for leaks? Yeah.
But if this stuff has been on the record, by this time all notices should have been issued. People should have been summoned.
We'll get Sudhi to come in on
interrogation.
that. Yeah, Kumar, the politics of this, and then Ashutosh, and then Sudhi. Yeah. Kumar.
Well, actually, I'm quite confused
Yeah.
as to whether we are discussing crime, we are discussing corruption, we are discussing politics, or just mud throwing at each other between BJP and Congress. Because if it was just mud throwing, then 20,000 crore rupees scam in Gujarat, that is not considered even corruption at all, that is not even worth discussion. So are we discussing corruption, crime, politics? Because generally I remember in one media organization where I was working as special correspondent, the management issued a note saying that code of conduct for journalists, in which the FIRs and simple allegations by anybody against anybody should not be considered as news unless those FIRs are followed up into actual courts and actually something happens. Now here we have some documents which may be true. I have no access to documents. This for the first time I heard about these documents or emails or whatever it is.
Yes.
They may be true, they may not be true.
Yes.
The question is not whether they are true or not. The question is, what is the procedure for following up this? Now, is this following up done by politics, political mud throwing? Then obviously it was clear when Priyanka Gandhi's name it became common for UP election as chief ministerial candidate. I suddenly remembered that something will happen now in 1 week, that something will happen against Vadra, because they cannot directly charge Priyanka or Rahul or Sonia. Something has to come up. I am not saying this is fabricated. Sanpreet, I am not saying this is fabricated. It may be true, it may not be true. But the fact is, we hide some cases like in Gujarat. We hide some cases and we publish some cases and we suddenly give it to media, all the types of information,
Well, the
and we
media, to be
violate
fair
our
to the
own
media,
code
has
of
actually
conduct.
reported both
We
cases.
violate our
but you know,
own code of conduct.
Kumar, the
We
media has
violate-
reported both
we
cases.
violate
The
our
media has
own
published
code of
Jairam
conduct
Ramesh widely.
when
No, no,
FIR and a
Kumar,
simple
I will
allegation should
interject
not
here
become
only to
news.
say that the media has reported, the media has
But
not
I'm not
suppressed
saying
your
you're doing
scam
anything
in
wrong.
Gujarat.
I'm
It
only
has
saying-
published Jairam Ramesh widely, including on NDTV.com.
I will be very clear, because I am appearing on this panel as a journalist, that I do not believe there is a 20,000 crore scam in Gujarat.
Yeah.
That's as much mudslinging as much else. There is no such scam. You know, it's very
No, but
easy
I
to,
was only making the
you know,
point that we've all
I mean,
covered
if-
that as
but
well.
That is the CAG report.
I am not saying there
well,
is
I mean,
scam.
you know,
It is the
No,
CAG
but
report
Shekhar,
that
Shekhar,
died
I am
from
not
Gujarat
saying
government.
there is
your 2 lakh crores of 3
No, sorry.
2G and 3
Sorry,
lakh
Shekhar,
crores
I am
for
not
Yeah,
saying
but
it's
then,
a scam.
yeah, but then
I am merely
2G
saying
and
only
3G
sir,
you
we should not
indicted
discuss
us
whether
without
this is
even
or
a
not.
trial.
I didn't invite you. I took the same position which I am taking now, that
But
there is
the
no
point
20,000 crores
is there
scam.
are
in
CAG
Gujarat.
journalists-
indicted Mr. Narendra Modi
but
for the
Shekhar,
Gujarat
But
State
Randeep,
Petroleum
here's the
Corporation
point.
scam.
Randeep-
CAG doesn't invite.
Randeep, but that's a good example. You know why? Because for a journalist, the CAG report says it, we quote the CAG report. The probe report says it, we quote the probe report. After that, it's for investigative agencies, the judicial process, the legal process to reach its logical conclusion. I am just saying to Kumar, we are not selective. On this channel, we have reported, published Jailab Ramesh on NDTV.com in detail, and now we are reporting this probe report. So, do you want to very quickly come in here before I go to Ashutosh? You know, Shekhar makes
No,
the
but we have
point.
not reported Prime Minister's wife not getting passport. She has every right
But
as a
Prime
citizen to
Minister's
get a
wife,
passport.
I'm sorry, I don't believe is a
Is
political
that not a
issue.
news?
You and I have
Is that
argued
not
about
a
this
news?
earlier.
Barkha,
Prime Minister's wife
I have
not
to
taking
come
a
in
no
over
passport.
longer
Is that not a news?
No,
Barkha,
Kumar,
not
I
a
do
news.
not accept
Barkha,
that
I
as
have
a
to come in over here.
journalistic issue, because she is not married to him. It was a marriage that took place decades ago. Why should we delve into this
Barkha,
space as
when
some
we
kind of
discuss Robert
journalistic?
Vadra, why
Is
should
that
the
not
Prime
a
Minister's
news?
wife be brought in?
I agree.
By
I
a
agree.
journalist
Right.
who has signed an affidavit in Calcutta?
Violation
I
of
agree. I
citizen's
think it's
right
a
to
wrong
get a
subject.
passport.
Vadра's wife.
Mr.
But
Ketkar,
let's
this
have
does
some
not
modicum
behove of you, in fact.
decency here. Yeah.
It
I mean,
is
this
violation
is not,
of
this
citizens'
is
right.
not legitimate
What is
politics
this?
to discuss somebody's, to drag in somebody's personal life from another phase of their
It is
life.
not personal life.
Kumar,
Denying
it's
a
not
passport
a
is not personal. It is citizens' right to have
I'll
a
allow
passport.
Sambit, but I don't agree with this issue at all coming into this debate.
Where is the
personally.
question of issue?
This is
For
not an
that,
issue.
She is the Prime
This is
Minister's
not a
wife.
political issue. This is not a
Barkha,
political
can I
issue.
It has
come
become
in for 10
political issue.
seconds?
Okay,
That
okay,
it
Sambit,
does
10
not
seconds
become
and
a news.
Ashutosh. Okay.
No, no,
That it does not
let
become a
me come
news
in.
is a political issue.
Mr. Ketkar,
Sorry,
I
it
heard
does
you.
become
I
news, but I
heard
think
you
it
made
should
a
not.
point.
This
Now allow me
particular
20
dimension.
seconds
Okay,
of
Sambit.
rebuttal.
Yes, Sambit. Yes. Yes, Sambit, go ahead.
Barkha, with all due respect, Mr. Ketkar is quite senior to me. I have seen less of time in politics than Mr. Ketkar has seen his journalism. But still, I would say people like Mr. Ketkar and others form a courtier around the Gandhi family and have been protecting Gandhi family since long. And today, when the Gandhi family is crumbling down because of the deeds, they are pained and they're confused. They would continue to
I
be
don't think
confused
so.
in
You
the
can
future as
continue
well.
to
We
shoot
do
the
not
messenger
care about
yeah.
your
for
confusion,
raising a
sir.
very valid
We care
point.
about the
Follow
corruption
the
and the money
inquiry.
of the
Nothing to do with
people.
defending Gandhis.
Drag you may the Prime
I
Minister
don't
has
want to
been
defend
announced
Gandhi.
that.
You follow the
Can we not
inquiry.
digress into
Messenger,
irrelevant dimensions
attribute
of this
false
debate?
motives.
Yes. I agree. I think it's suffice
You
to say
follow
this
the
is not the
inquiry.
subject of this debate. And
No, you follow the inquiries against Gandhis. Arrest them. I don't mind. Where is
Okay,
the question of
Ashutosh.
defending Gandhis? I have no defense.
Mr.
I have no
Ketkar,
defense
I
for
follow
Gandhis.
your
I have
debates as
no
well, and I know.
information about their offense.
Kumar, I must
Anyhow,
allow
we should not
I
get
think
diverted from the
delinquency has
topic.
become order of the day on this
So
issue,
Ashutosh,
on
go
this
ahead.
show.
Ashutosh, go ahead.
Barkha,
Yes.
Barkha, I just heard Saint Augustine when Samit Patra was speaking, because he was saying the issue is not Robert Vadra, but issue is corruption.
Yes.
Now for the last 20 minutes, I could see that there was everything was discussed other than corruption. I have two very simple points. One point is when Ravi Shankar Prasad came out with an 8-minute documentary and saying it's a textbook case of corruption, why Robert Vadra is still roaming free for the last 2 years, what Modi government has done in concrete terms, whether it was a Bikaner land scheme, whether it is a DLF land scheme, or whether this benami, except just sending some notices here and there. So why Mr. Modi government has been silent on the Robert Vadra and why Robert Vadra is roaming free for the last week? That is my question number one. If he had been honest, he should have instituted an inquiry, given a time-bound inquiry, 6 month
There is
period.
a judicial
Done it.
inquiry. There is a
Second
judicial
point.
inquiry.
No. Barkha, let me complete.
Yes.
Then, why no action has been taken against Dushyant Singh? The 21 crore transaction has happened between Lalit Modi and Dushyant Singh. And what Mr. Arun Jaitley has said in Washington on 21st June 2015, that it's a transaction which is commercial in nature between two individuals. About the Robert Vadra, Congress has made the similar statement in 2013, and Arun Jaitley is making the similar statement about the Dushyant Singh. So issue is corruption, and also the issue is neither the BJP is interested nor the Congress is interested into a time-bound investigation and put Robert Vadra behind the bar and Dushyant Singh behind the bar.
I think that's a fair question. That where is this time-bound inquiry? Where is the gravity? It's much easier to do political tutu mein.
In the form of Mr. Samit Patra.
Okay, bring in my colleague who actually did this story? I just to give him a chance to
Can
also
I
speak.
please answer this?
Yeah, just half a second, Sambit. I just want to bring in Sudhi, who actually reported this story. Sudhi, this point is coming up again and again. It isn't complicated. If Mr. Bhandari was a front for Mr. Vadra, it isn't difficult to establish. Shekhar makes the point that London is not some sort of place where we can't access.
It's not a tax haven.
It's not a tax haven. It's not Mauritius. It's not. These are not the Panama Papers to get perspective. So therefore, what are the investigators whom you've been speaking to saying? I mean, why have they not initiated a tax notice or a process or conclusive evidence?
Frankly, you can on internet check the exact ownership of any property in London.
Well, yeah, go ahead, Sudhi. It was sold in 2010, and there is, of course, a working thesis in this probe that even that Mr. Vadra could have been the beneficiary, is what the probe says it's investigating. But I think there's a valid point here. Why not the next step then?
Well, from what we've, Barkha, from what we are getting to here is that it's last month that
Bhandari was raided. Yes.
Bhandari was raided.
Yes.
The statements are being recorded. In between, we understand that there were some issues. Mr. Bhandari could not make it to give his statements. The ED has also got into it. So both agencies looking at it. Yeah. So it's at a stage where, mind you, in an income tax process or in the ED process, these are quasi-judicial processes. And once you take the statements, it is more or less acceptable in some ways as evidence. And that is where it stands today, while the parallel probes are happening. Okay. And the indications what we are getting is that very soon this is going to happen.
Okay, let's get final comments. Randeep, go ahead. Yeah.
There are three issues that are very clear. Number one, Mr. Vadra does not own the property, as to put the Shekhar's point further.
Did he ever, can I interject there?
Yeah.
He may never have overtly owned the property, but the allegation in the probe is that he is a financial beneficiary from it and he was involved in the upkeep of it. He was contributing to the expenses of it.
Absolutely valid point to ask. Yeah. And I think I'm just reading from what his lawyer has said, and categorically that neither directly nor indirectly he ever owned the property nor any financial dealing with Bhandari.
But did he ever pay for his chandeliers and its painting and its refurbishing?
There is a further point here.
Yeah.
We have actually a tax treaty with the government of UK, and we have a tax treaty that warrants both the governments to cooperate mutually with each other. Also, the title of land, you know better, I'm sure our lawyer friend will tell, is available openly. You can check past transactions as also the current ownership. Right?
Every owner for
why is it that we are only in surmises, conjectures and leveling of allegations?
No, we're not in surmises. We do know that Mr. Bhandari through one of his companies bought this property for 19 lakh pounds. That is not in dispute.
Mr. Bhandari may have bought. But the clear point is that there is no ownership evidence, there is no money trail, and only lot of mud is being thrown.
Just like we don't know, Randeep, that he is guilty, we also don't know that he is innocent.
That's why I said, please investigate.
We do not know. It's in that. Okay, quickly, last comment. One second, Shekhar. I'm coming. Shekhar is coming.
The real story is somewhere else.
Which is?
The real story is from which account did Mr. Bhandari, if he bought this house, pay 1.9 million.
In fact, if we can get Sudhi up, we have the company's name.
You can't pay. No, but where did the company get the money from? 1.9 million pounds can't be paid on American Express, right? So he got that money from somewhere that was paid. And second, I want to know, we've not been discussing it for a long time, which deals was Sanjay Bhandari involved in, which could have led to this kind of bribe giving?
Well, one of the latest deals that he won was to in fact supply parts for the combat aircraft brought from Dessau.
Well, I'm so sorry.
Just FYI, that doesn't connect to this necessarily. You asked me which of these deals, so
I'm so sorry to be the cynical old editor, but there is no Dessau deal yet.
No, he won that deal to supply parts. I'm not saying that gave him this money to buy the house.
But Rafale has not been bought yet.
It's not.
So how do you get a deal for supplying parts to it? Rafale has not been bought yet.
But he has won a deal separately with a French major if it were to happen, right?
No. But that is what needs to be proven. No, Rafale
so
has
now
not
we are saying that Bhandari also doesn't have the money to own this house.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's a simple thing that any assistant commissioner of income tax should find out in one working day.
Okay, so that's I think fair enough.
Who paid for the flat and when it was sold, who got the money? It is quite possible that it was one company that paid for the flat another company got the money.
Yes.
Now, who is behind
We actually
that
have
company?
both of the company names.
You may have the names,
in
but
this-
who are the
Today there is
persons
no
behind
just or
that?
deal.
Yes,
it
but
is still being negotiated.
But Shekhar, that is why this gentleman was raided, because where does he have a crores worth of empire?
You mean the French would pay him money in advance?
No,
for
I'm
a
not
Dassault
saying,
deal
I'm
which has
not
happened?
linking this
No,
in
I'm
any
not
way to the
defending him,
Dassault.
yes.
I'm not
I
linking
really
this
need
to the
to come
Dassault
in.
deal. I am simply saying that he is being investigated from where he got 70 crores when his empire has 35 shell companies. So I'm not linking this to Dassault in any way. I'm simply, you said, who is he? What are
I'm
these
saying
deals he
so
does?
it's very
one
simple.
short point when Shekhar came
In which bank does he have his account? The company which paid for this.
Yeah.
That bank, everybody carries out KYC these days. That has been reported to tax in UK.
Yeah.
It can be done
Okay,
in no
okay.
time.
Can I just get Sambit is trying to comment. Sambit, go ahead. Sambit, go ahead. Just literally everyone has 30
Look,
seconds.
Barkha,
I'm
I've
out
been
of
listening
time.
very.
Yeah.
Just a second,
Yeah.
just a second, Barkha. I've been listening very intently and carefully. Let me remind all of us over here that we are not the investigative agencies. We are not the ED or DCBI or the Income Tax Department. Let them do their work. We are discussing a report which you have accessed.
Yes.
Number two, I mean, after having read the report that you have accessed, that you put out on your net as well.
Yes.
I'm a bit intrigued with the
Yes.
timeline. The timeline of most of these deals that have been discussed in
Yeah.
the last few months
Yes.
is 2008 to 2010.
Yes.
Augusta is 2008, 2010.
Yes.
This benami property deal of Robert Vadra is 2008, 2010.
Yeah.
We have the naval warships 2008, 2010.
What does that prove to you?
Most of them find their linkages, just a second, most of these find linkages to Italy and London, contractors from Italy, and
See,
there
this
are
is the
middlemen
kind
this
in
is
of
some
London,
nonsense.
and we have a benami property in
that
London.
Bharatiya Janata
It is
Party does
too much
day in,
of.
day out,
I was
and
not
nothing
speaking in the
happens.
middle of anyone. Both, all of you jumping in the middle to save
That's
the
the
Gandhis
problem.
only proves
That
that
is your
Gandhis are
problem.
not just
Mud
above
raking,
suspicion.
mudslinging,
They have done
false
something
allegations.
wrong.
That's
They have
all.
done something
That's
wrong.
all
That
that
is the
Bharatiya
reason as to
Janata
why
Party has done
you
for
are
last
not
24
taking all
months
this with
the
a
and
smile.
for 4 years
That
before
you are
that,
perturbed,
and that's
that
all
you are
that you
disturbed,
shall
that you don't
continue
allow me
to
to
do.
complete
The reason
a
is that the
sentence.
truth will
You
not
don't allow me
quieten
to complete
just
a
because you
sentence
speak so
means
loudly
that
and
there
continue
is-
to level
There is
allegations.
something which
Okay.
is absolutely
Sambit,
wrong.
guys,
Mr.
I'm out of
Surjewala,
time.
I
I'm
never
out of time.
interject.
I'm out of time. I'm out
Barkha,
of
this is
time.
absolutely
Sambit,
wrong.
make your final
You
comment,
allow
please.
my time and then everyone jumps
I'm
in.
telling you to complete your point because I'm out of time.
The
Complete
whole
your
problem
point.
is that he
After
says
that,
he is
let him
neither
complete
the
it.
ED
Let him
nor the
complete his
income
point.
tax.
Sir,
Please find the
sir.
money trail
Let him complete his
Sir.
point.
and find out the money trail and punish the guilty.
Sir,
Please,
That's the
Sambit,
simple
complete
thing.
the
Do
point.
not,
just
do not
wait.
only keep throwing mud all the time.
how will I complete the point when you don't ask your friend to keep quiet for a while? Was I
You're all my
interjecting
friends,
anyone?
firstly,
No. Now,
Sambit, including you, but make
Yes,
your
all of
concluding
us.
remark now, please.
the concluding remark is I draw from your report a very important statement that when the report states, as you state, the report states when Mr. Bhandari was asked that does this property belong to Robert Vadra or does it not belong to Robert Vadra, he did not deny it. Remember, if it did not belong to Robert Vadra,
Well,
the
Mr.
first
Bhandari is in your
accused
wife
person who would not have wanted him to be above suspicion would have outwardly
to end
denied it, categorically denied it.
I actually do have to end, but Shekhar, to answer your question, I just pulled out my notes, and there are two companies. There's Vertex Management and there's Seradis Tech, and the probe says that shares were transferred from one company to the other company, which is Seradis Tech, where Mr. Bhandari is the principal owner. This is what the probe report says.
I'm very interested in this, but I want to know in which deal would he have made the money?
That now is a subject of a next
That
program.
is-
I do have to.
you know-
I do have to close it here. I think the valid
we have
point.
the smoke, but we don't have the gun.
I think Ashutosh ka ek point I think has to be picked up, that it would be good to go beyond the polemics, the rhetoric, and actually reach a conclusion. Ashutosh, I'm out of time totally.
Should forget the polemics.
I'm out of time. I have to say goodbye.
I'm just
Rather than
saying
coming
I
to
have to
debate.
say goodbye. I really do have to
Ashutosh
end.
should go out
let
and
me-
search
let
for
me
the
ask-
70-page evidence
Barkha,
against
for the last
Thank
2
you.
years, why Modi government has been
And
keeping quiet?
Ashutosh,
Why
what about
Robert Vadra is
all
roaming
the
free?
foreign
Why is not
Ashutosh,
behind
Thank
the
you,
bar?
guys.
Party
Thank you,
decision.
Mr. Nayar. Sorry to end it so abruptly. Sorry to end it so abruptly.
Robert Vadra.
Beyond. Okay, that's
Mr.
it.
Modi-
That's it.
Mr. Modi is
Ashutosh,
not
Sambit,
interested.
please,
Mr.
I'm really
Modi is not
requesting you.
interested.
Please feel sorry for me. I'm out of time. I'm cutting into commercial time now, and you know what that means in this age of media. And Ashutosh is a former television journalist. You know how sacred that is. Leaving it there. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching.